Hey, Chris Jenkins, credential member of the media, covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe, aka Man of the People, here live from Bank of America Stadium with your Wednesday updates. As you know, always on Wednesdays, I'm going to be live at the stadium breaking down the latest news, injury reports, and information that we get out of the locker room. So, as always, I'm going to ask for you to subscribe to the channel, help us continue to grow. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers. If you're enjoying the content, please subscribe. If you have already subscribed, then please hit that like button, as it'll help other fans find out about the channel. The bigger we grow, the more we can do for you. And speaking of what we can do for you today, I continue my weekly interviews. Done with the rookies right now. Went to Brycen Tremayne, sat down with him. Had a good time. I'm going to play a clip from that for you here shortly. So good reason to help us grow. Let's go ahead and talk about this injury report as we get ready to take on the Miami Dolphins here in Charlotte. Good news for the Carolina Panthers and fans, potentially, right? I say potentially because you don't know what's going to happen. But we had 3 out of 4 games starting on the road. Well, we're now going to be basically at home for the whole month of October. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too, and hope that it can lead to some good news for this Carolina Panthers team. But let's go ahead and dive into this injury report for the Carolina Panthers, as it's the first one of the week, and there's a few surprises on it as they prepare to take on the Miami Dolphins. So taking a look at this list, the surprise here is Chuba Hubbard. He did not practice today with the calf injury. So coach said it's not that it got worse, but he was able to play through it during the game and perform as they would expect him to. But then since then, it has not been as good. So, you know, a lot of these times during a game, there's a such thing where you can have an injury, you got adrenaline going, etc. The muscle stays warm and loose. You're able to play the rest of the game just fine, but then when you rest, it can flare up after it gets cold. So that seems to be the case with what happened with Chuba. And moving on here, Taylor Moton, who was always going to be a did not practice DNP on a Wednesday. Ja'Tavion Sanders, he's week to week. Coach told us about that last week, so don't expect that to change much. Don't expect him to be out for 4 weeks, but he's certainly going to be out a little bit of time. Don't look for him playing this Sunday against the Dolphins. Tershawn Wharton, defensive tackle, he did not practice with that toe injury. And then Shaw Smith-Wade, man, I didn't get a chance to talk to him in the locker room, so look for some more information about that, because I haven't seen if he's talked more about that play from Sunday or not. But again, look for that to be coming if there's information out there for it. But Shaw Smith-Wade did not practice today with his chest hurt him. So DJ Wonnum, outside linebacker, he was limited in practice with his hip. Looks like I got Ja'Tavion Sanders on here twice. I will definitely fix that for next week. Please don't get on me about that. But the next 2 guys I wanted to list on here because they had been out due to injuries last week, but things look good for them right now. That is Patrick Jones, outside linebacker. He was a full participant in practice today with that hamstring no longer bothering him. And then Xavier Legette, wide receiver, was a full participant in practice with his hamstring no longer bothering him. So that gets you through your injury report. We've got a few comments here that we're going to put out there. Great view of the field from this angle, looks fantastic. Yes, and the lighting wise, it works because, you know, I get into all this, right? There's shade, so my lighting actually looks really good. So thank you for noticing, and maybe that'll earn a like from somebody out there watching the channel or watching this video perhaps for the first time. Jada6, what's going on with you? Appreciate you tuning in. Dazed and confused. This could happen, but I sure wouldn't bet on it. Carolina, we get a big win this week. Keep pounding, 52-10. That would be great. You know, I don't get into predictions too much, but I am optimistic about this win. Now, Dave Canales, since he's been our head coach, he has not had a string where we're just getting slap. At least nothing comes to mind. So I feel like there's a possibility. I feel like there is. It's a possibility. I don't feel like it's a heck no. But nevertheless, let's continue to get through this. I see some more comments, but let me go ahead and get into the transactions that have taken place for this Carolina Panthers team. So we got a few guys that were elevated, essentially, though you technically won't call it an elevation because now they are now permanently on the roster. And so running back DJ Dallas, he was signed to the 53-man roster. He's a running back for us. So you know this move right here, what this is about, right? So I've talked about why it took so long for Jimmy Horn to get on the field. Dave Canales is not afraid to put you on the field if you're low on the depth chart at your position, if you can help him on special teams. If you can help him on special teams, then you got a chance to get a jersey on a Sunday. So he said he's rewarding Dallas for his hard work, but his versatility is also a big benefit for the team as well. And so he has been signed to the 53-man roster. We also have defensive back Trevian Thomas, who is now signed to the 53-man roster. And then, you know, we've had some injuries across that O-line. Chandler Zavala is placed on injured reserve, but we went to Arizona's practice squad. So well, let me tell you about the guy. Offensive lineman Jake Corhan has been signed from the Arizona practice squad. So something to know. I like to do some education as well. When you take a player from another team off their practice squad, you have to sign them to your 53-man roster. Now, I believe there's a number of weeks that you have to have him there. I forget what that number is. I want to say at least 2 weeks that he has to be on that 53-man roster before you let him go. And that's just to prevent poaching or whatever the word is from just kind of taking guys and maybe using them against other teams and all that stuff. So, but he's now part of the Carolina Panthers. And then we had some openings because we had a few guys elevated. So, I shouldn't say elevated, signed to our 53-man roster. So we were able to sign some guys to our to our practice squad. Offensive lineman Aiden Williams, running back Trey Tyus, and offensive lineman, I'm going to say Sadiq Charles. And then we have a few more transactions as well that I'm going to go through. Placed on reserve injured, that would be offensive lineman Chandler Zavala, wide receiver David Moore, and then returning to practice, defensive lineman LeBrycen Ray. So those are all your transactions that have taken place today. Quite a few, but you know it's needed. It happens in the NFL, right? It's a tough sport. It's a violent sport. Guys get hurt, unfortunately, as the Miami Dolphins are dealing with a severe injury on their side with Tyreek Hill being on injured reserve. He's going to miss the remainder of the 2025 season. It's certainly hard to go out to these guys as they get banged up. It is part of the game, though. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to check out another comment here before I get to the rest of the show. We got Stu J. We needed that dub in New England. Time to bounce back. We still 1-0 in the division. Yeah, you got to bounce back, right? It hurt. It hurt a lot. I mean, I can say from being that person, like, gosh, it hurts to go from being here in Charlotte watching that shutout against Atlanta, being like, wow, all right, you know, maybe we're going to start cooking. Not cooking as in like steam rolling through everybody, but you certainly felt good about the chance in New England, and then we basically did the complete opposite up in New England. It was tough, but Stu, I appreciate you checking us out. Hopefully you'll join us, become a member if you're not already a member. Certainly subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me so much with my independent media quest to continue to bring you guys a lot of inside coverage and interesting things. So today we had a chance to talk with Bryce Young as well as Dave Canales, but I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because I got a little treat for you. Had, again, a chance to do my one-on-one sit-downs today. That took place with Brycen Tremayne, wide receiver. You know, another wide receiver that's going to get a first look this week that a lot of people are excited to see. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing him is Jimmy Horn Jr. So I had a chance to ask Brycen what he's been seeing so far with Jimmy Horn that may or may not have him excited. That's dumb to say, right? But anyway, what he's been seeing about Jimmy Horn Jr. Okay. Jimmy Horn Jr. is looking to be a guy to get some playing time this week. Being in that locker room with him, what have you been seeing from Jimmy as he's making this progression and going to get an opportunity this weekend?
I'm just excited for Jimmy. He's a really special player. You know, I saw him flash all through training camp, and you know, even during this the season, like he's still having flashes, and it's just like, dang, he's fast. He's every time you know has a go route, you're like, dang, he's fast.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, that was just a little excerpt from me and Brycen Tremayne. That was his take on Jimmy Horn Jr. And I think we all get excited and know about his speed that Jimmy Horn Jr. has. But you just got to see the whole thing put together, right? Obviously, if he's a one-trick pony, that's not going to work too well to get us some increased production from when he gets out there, right? If you know that he's coming out running a go route or nine route, whatever you want to call it, streak, then you're going to back off of him a little bit. As soon as they snap, you're just going to run backwards and try to prevent him from having that opening, right? But if he's not able to run any slants or any other routes, outs, ins, whatever you want to call them, then that's going to limit him. And as of right now, Coach Canales he didn't say whether or not he was going to be on special teams. I feel like that's not going to happen, which is why it took him so long to get on the field. It's because he can't contribute. And again, if for Dave Canales, if you're a guy that's further down on the depth chart and you want to get some playing time at your position, you got to be a special team. So Jimmy Horn is getting an opportunity to maybe show that he can move up a lot. But if not, I think we're going to see once some other players come back, Jimmy Horn kind of continue to go back into that development mode and not get a jersey on a Sunday. But I'm happy for him. I hope I don't sound like I'm not happy for him. I just want to try to put things in perspective or the totality of Jimmy Horn Jr. Let's go and talk about this team going down the field. I don't know if I still have this graphic. I want to put this up if I do have it. So give me a second to see if I can find this graphic pretty quickly. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Looks like I'm not. Dagnabbit. I really felt like I would have that graphic. Anyway, I don't have it to pull up on the screen right now, but I'll put out. Actually, I do have a way that I can get to it. Let me get to it really quick. Bear with me here just a second. And while you're bearing with me, if you have not subscribed to our channel and you're watching, take this moment to hit that little subscribe button that's on your phone or on your computer and subscribe to the channel. Help us get closer to that all-important 15,000. Help me get more interviews with players that I want to talk to so I can show that I have a large audience, and it makes things so much easier. All right, so hopefully you guys have subscribed. If I don't see 2 more subscribers, I'm going to get mad. No, I'm just kidding. Give me just a second. I can put this on the screen now. If I hit the right buttons. All right, so it's not going to fit completely on the screen like I really would like it to, but I'll move it right there. So that's Bryce Young's pass chart against the New England Patriots. He threw for 30 times, connected on 18 of them, but here's the big thing. Let's count them. 2, 4, 6, 7 were basically line of scrimmage or less. Line of scrimmage or less was 7 of them, and then I guess the other half of them were basically 10 yards or less, and then he had 2 for 15. He attempted some further than that. He attempted 1, almost 30 yards. But yeah, this is a pass chart that gives you a little bit of a deja vu, right? Like, we've seen this before. So Coach Canales talked about all the evaluation that him and his staff did going back to those first 4 games, and here's one of the things that he talked about in regards to maybe changing the play calling just a wee bit. So let me get this going for you all. One second, I hadn't got to it yet.
Could be, yeah. I definitely think there were some spots. I believe we've come out and thrown the ball more than we have in the past and given our guys opportunities down the field. We haven't come up with big plays, whether it was a missed throw, a drop pass, miscommunication, just little things like that we have to continue to drill in on. So I think that those opportunities will still come up, but that was a big thing, Joe. That was a big one that we looked at in the first 4 games. How can we get the ball down the field with the guys we're playing with right now?
Alrighty, so that was Dave Canales on getting the ball down the field, more explosive plays, having charts that do not look like this come up each week, and I think that's I think they have tried to throw the ball downfield now a lot. No, not a lot, but I feel like for this week in particular, what could help that is Jimmy Horn Jr. Now, ongoing, I don't know if that's the key, but I also feel like maybe a challenge with that is Dave Canales likes to use one player as his star, as his primary guy. And right now, that is T-Mac, Tedero Millen. I don't feel like, Xavier's been out, so it'll be a matter of, well, I feel like you could also use Xavier for some deeper stuff down the field. I don't know if you can use them deep down the field. I feel like there's some plays, right? If you get creative with the play calling and the routes that each player is running, that you could do that. All right. But that's all I go say. I feel like it's a little bit of a challenge with his current personnel, with the guys that he has out. But I do like the fact that he has Jimmy Horn Jr. this week to do it. But Jimmy has to not be a one-trick pony with go routes. He has to be able to run those other routes effectively and get open. Even if you complete one to him, even if it's a stop, then to me that means, okay, now we can use Jimmy and get into some of these longer passes, have some dynamics mixing up things, and then also being able to mix in with the run, which is what we've been able to do. Want to play another clip on this defense. Defense hasn't been doing what we needed to do. And Canales spoke about the defense and how they could improve.
And is there like a fix there?
Urgency. The time is now. We have 4 games under our belt with different packages, playing against different styles of offenses, and that's the production and that's the urgency that's being communicated is, guys, we need better play here, in different spots. And there's good stuff too. And I saw Trevin Wallace, 2 weeks ago play his best game as a pro, and then he was inconsistent last week. And just getting him to settle in there and be big and fast like we know he is, Christian Roseboom, who we're counting on to call the defense and be in there, let's talk, let's execute. And so, yeah, there's a lot of urgency communicated to those guys, and they're up for the challenge.
All right, you see there, Dave talked about urgency for the defense being a solution, and my 2 cents is I'm not too excited about that reply of urgency. That's something, if you go back to Sunday, he talked about the responsibilities on him and on the coaching. Yeah, urgency is something that every NFL player should have at every position, no matter what you're doing, is urgency. And execution, that's really pretty vanilla, pretty broad. For this defense you get. And maybe he feels like you can't talk about some things specifically or doesn't want to expose people, right? But you can have – the urgency should already be there, is what I'm getting at. You need things like getting some pressure on the opposing team's quarterback. That would be helpful. That's something that you need to do. Talk about how you're going to do it. But, again, you can't go into the detail of that as a coach because then you're giving away the game plan. But do something to get some more pressure on the quarterback. And also continue to stress to these guys on defense about tackling. Tackling, it kind of showed its head again last week in New England, both on defense overall and then special teams. Tackling. So those are some things that I would like to hear. But, again, you might not hear all those coming from a coach as he doesn't want to give the game plan away. Got one more clip that I want to play for you guys, and then I'm going to take a few questions, if you will. Let me play this clip from Coach.
That shifting and sort of the impact that he had?
I wouldn't say noticeable. There were some things that teams tried to do a little bit for T-Mac, but not out of the ordinary. This wasn't a full sell, let's stop this guy thing, which is why he's able to still produce for us. But we are looking for the other guys. I've talked about this before in the past game. You love to have a starting point. You love to say, we're trying to get the ball to this person because it does set up all the other stuff. It does open up other guys and their opportunities in one-on-one, whether it's in zone or whether it's in man. So these are the opportunities for guys to show us what they can do and really make plays when they're getting lighter coverages.
All right, so that was Coach Canales on what I talked about earlier a little bit. Was he likes to have a number one guy. He likes to have a main guy that things go through. That's the clear emphasis on his offense, which is obviously Tedero McMillan, and getting Xavier back and how he's going to try to mix it up, and how he feels like with Xavier out, it has not put too much on the T-Mac yet, where he's still been able to be producing. He has been a leading producer for the Carolina Panthers. Got a few more clips that I want to get through here. Got a little bit of an excerpt from Bryce Young.
He's been doing a great job. What he's going to call this week, I trust in the plan. I trust in where we're going. So, that's him, of course, taking accountability because that's the coach he is. And then from my side, it's the same. I have to make the plays work. We as a team have to make the plays work. So that's what we're working towards.
So that was Bryce Young on throwing the ball. And here's one more clip that I want to play for you guys on Bryce.
There's maybe some, I don't want to say added motivation because I know there's always motivation, but he did seem like maybe he was really ready to go.
Yeah, I haven't seen any interviews or anything he said, but whether he did or didn't, you wouldn't be able to tell based on how he practices. Day one of when he got drafted, he came out there. He's someone who practices full speed, as always. Looks like he's angry and upset by the way that he carries himself. He's running full speed. He's finishing plays in practice. He's running out of huddles, full speed, whatever it is. So even if it were the case, you wouldn't tell because that's just the consistent man of preparation that he's been while he's here.
All right, so that was Bryce Young on the consistency of which Xavier Legette practices hard and how it always matters. So to me, I feel like I noticed today that our quarterback, Bryce Young, took a little offense to the questions about Xavier Legette and what he's doing. It almost seemed like he was irritated by it, which is kind of cool, right? Because to me, you still want – I don't mind seeing levels of frustration from anybody on a team that's 1-3, especially if you're a quarterback that's been with us for 3 years and haven't had the best success, right? Kind of getting irritated with questions about lack of performance or challenges with the performance and your receivers and the plays that are being called. So hopefully it can lead to some good results out here this Sunday versus the New England Patriots versus the Miami Dolphins. I will be here to bring it to you. So again, subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow to give you guys some more updates on the latest injury updates, transactions if there are any, and analysis about this team as they're prepared to take on the Miami Dolphins. Going to see if there's a few more comments out here before I get out of here. Depth is still killing this team. Yeah, it's tough. And they're getting hit hard in like particular positions, right? So that linebacker course, like boom, boom, boom. All your linebackers get hurt. Boom, boom, boom. Tight ends. And maybe we just had a lot of injuries because even look at the wide receivers. We had some depth there. Boom, Coker. Boom, Thielen's out. Boom, David Moore. Things happening there. So, and the line as well. So, yes, depth, flexibility, good coaching, good assistant coach, good positional coaches. Because as these guys, as you get turnovers and then you actually start bringing guys in, we haven't started bringing a lot of people in yet. But when you do that, the more that you do that, the more you're really relying on your positional coaches because they're the ones who spends the time with these players as they're getting promoted up to the 53 or when they're coming from other teams to make sure that they know the plays, know the playbook, know the assignments, yada, yada, yada. Not the head coach, not the coordinator, right? So your coaching staff needs to be in a good place, and we'll see. Canales talks about having a developmental organization from players and coaches to get guys ready. So you're really going to see how good we have those measures in place to take care of guys as we're now starting to do what a little bit of a high injury report here early on the first quarter of the season. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Oh, got a member here with a question. Hey, Chris, how long before we give up on Bryce? He needs to throw the ball deep. It's frustrating to stretch the field. So, hold on, let me adjust my lighting here a little bit because it's getting dark outside. But in terms of Bryce Young and when we're going to see him less, get rid of him, I don't think that you really want to see that happen just yet, right? Bryce Young is definitely had his moments, but it hadn't been like – and they've been tough, right? They've been some tough moments. But I continue to look at it saying not that this guy should have a pass and continue to just play. But if you take Bryce out, you going to put Andy Dalton in for a minute or two? That's a tough one. Because, I mean, to me, once you do that, it's just like all the wind goes out the sail completely for the season, right? You could put your faith in Andy, but then if Andy struggles any bit whatsoever, it's like, all right, basically the season's now washed. We're not going to go back to Bryce. We're not going to keep – if he gets benched, then obviously he's not going to be our guy. And then Andy's not going to be our long-term guy. You just hope he gets us through. It is good that you see the ball get stretched and go to other places when Andy's back there. But hopefully Bryce can continue to bounce back. His game last week, he wasn't turning over the ball. So if you at least stay within that game manager role, your defense steps up a little bit. Your special teams comes back to half of what they were the other week against Atlanta. You give yourself a chance to win. Hey, thanks you everybody so greatly for watching and tuning in. I'm Chris Jenkins for Charlotte Vibe, live from Bank of America Stadium.